Good morning. This is Professor Anderson with some feedback for your writing assignment number 1, and I apologize and am grateful for your patience with this being so late. There are about a handful, as I've shared with the others, about 5 from the course that I'm not sure what happened. The screencast did not attach. I don't know where it is. So I am grateful for your patience as I figure out and work through some of these tech glitches. I think this has to do with our transition. You know, that UMUC is moving from a Gmail suite to an Outlook suite. And I think this is a little glitch. The screencast's lost in translation. Anyway, now that I'm learning this, I'm going through my assignment folder. I will share it here and I will share it in an email to you. And please feel free to take your time to incorporate these suggestions. If you could just get the final draft back to me by, say, November the 7th, that would be great. Then we can move forward from there. So how to defend a pick in basketball is near and dear to my heart. My whole family plays. I played. This is our sport, so I get it, what you're talking about. What I want to share with you is with respect to writing sets of instructions. I love how you've broken this down: introduction, what you need, position breakdown, so forth. First couple of grammar things. Basketball and football, while they are individual sports, they are not what are called proper nouns. They do not need to be capitalized. Where I want you to take a look at some structural issues also for sentence structure. Essentially, a pick is a variant of a block in football, comma, where a teammate uses their body as an obstacle in which the defender must evade in order to continue defending their opponent. You need a comma here because this is what's called a dependent clause. If I just read this by itself, where a teammate uses their body as an obstacle in which a defender must evade in order to continue defending their opponent, is not a complete sentence. It can't stand alone. This is the dependence clause that it needs to anchor to. So you have a couple of them throughout. So I would take a look at some capitalization, punctuation. So those are just sort of standards issues, like basketball and football. And then also some syntax errors in terms of subject-verb agreement and sentence structure. This is one of them. There's a couple. I'll point them out to you as I've noticed them. Then let's talk about format, because sets of instructions are really about how I can walk my audience readers' eyes through these instructions as I'm sharing them. So the first thing I'd recommend is instead of saying the word introduction, give this a title. Think of a title for it and set it bold and centered in the front. Or if you want to keep everything on a hard left edge, so give it a title here instead of just introduction. And then in a smaller font, perhaps the same color, what you'll need or materials, and list them instead of listing this way, which it looks like you're trying to create a sentence, but this is not a complete sentence. I would bullet point and go under, give a hard carriage, go under a basketball court, say, bullet point, basketball point, bullet point, 2 teams of 5, bullet point, a ball. And then position breakdown, or I would use this as another subheading, understanding the positions, and then move forward. Basketball uses the same 5 players on both offense and defense, players. I love how you have these descriptions here. However, these descriptions are very suggestive. They imply that your reader, your audience, knows the game. And because of that, I recommend that you put in here in your introduction that this set of instructions is designed for someone with an intermediate understanding of basketball, an advanced understanding of basketball, of the game. Because here, while you give great descriptions, they are suggestive. So this, for example, point guard, this is usually the smallest and quickest player with the highest IQ on the court. Defining what the IQ on the court, are you talking like an academic IQ, or this, most often brings the ball up the court and facilitates the plays called by the coach, or makes the plays himself, whether by passing it or shooting the ball himself. So here it is, the highest IQ on the court means something completely different than the highest IQ in a classroom, the highest IQ. So this these descriptions, they're great. I love them, but I know the game. So you want to make certain that you're defining in your introduction somewhere that this set of instructions will require someone with a, intermediate or advanced understanding of the game. Okay, now this second part here. Now that we understand the positions, lowercase, we can begin the process on how to defend a pick. Let's reword that. First of all, now that we understand is a suggestive kind of statement. For better to say, and again, you want to, because what you're saying is that with just this brief understanding and no knowledge of basketball, you are fully aware of what we can do next. And instead, what you've done is position. You've defining positions in basketball is key. Period. Learning to defend a pick is the next step. And then next, there are two versions of this concept: the pick and the roll and the pick and the pop. And so I would one bullet point pick and the roll, bullet point pick and the pop. It is important to understand general information of basketball court and where each position is found. So knowing positions and placement on the court is essential. So here, underneath of here, I love your graphics, don't get me wrong. Guards are at the top and the big men are towards the bottom. You need to define where's the top and the bottom and who the big men are. What is the big man? Because I didn't see you have this in here, little brother. I didn't see you say big men, any post positions, or anything like that. No. So you want to make sure that you're identifying these terms that you're using, because again, or you want to make sure that you identify that your audience needs to have an intermediate, advanced, and/or advanced understanding of basketball. So I hope that helps you to understand the importance of audience. Once you define audience, that tailors your vocabulary for your sets of instructions. If I'm an NBA coach, you can use much more technical terms than big brother, little man. I mean, you can just talk in numbers at that point. But if I'm just learning the game, you have to use a different type of vocabulary. So defining the audience is really the key. And that's why, weeks 1 and 2 really talk about that over and over again. If you know your audience, that sets the tone for everything else. So let's see here. And again, what I want to recommend here is, again, remove this suggestive statement or suggestive elements of statements, and then just say, give this a label. This is a whole subsection, positions on the court. And then you can move into this zone understanding and/or giving a quick understanding of where they are. So then I would move here. What you have is, while you've identified the zones, you've given a clear understanding of the court, then you're going to move how to identify a pick. So step 1, picks take place in the offense, or picks are an offensive. Watch for the offensive player to, what, I don't know how you want to say this, because it's usually it's, well, I don't know where you want to put this, but you want to make this a subheading here. So far, that's what I'm looking at. You have like 2 or 3 sections, 3 so far. Positions, or I would say players. This is about players. This is about positions. And then this is about the play. And that might be a good way to do it, because they all start with P. So you're using that like repetitive nature of, it's called parallel structure, where you have things in a series that are the same. And then I would say, the play, watch for the call for the pick. And then underneath of here, a call for the pick is generally a signal or sign yelled by the offensive player who's bringing the ball up the court. This player is known as the point guard, blah, 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 blah. And then move into to indicate if one of the big men is making their way towards the ball handler. So hold on just a second. I'm going to stop this, Mark, and give you a second when my screencast is running out. So you're going to have 2 screencasts here.